Have you ever woken up in the morning with an endless to-do list, a heart full of intentions, and the feeling that the day simply won't be enough? You look at the clock and feel like it's always running faster than you. Time slips through your fingers like fine sand, and no matter how hard you try to hold on, it disappears. You wish for more hours in the day, you wish for more days in the week, you wish for more time. But what hides behind that desire? Is it truly time that you need, or is something far deeper missing? Time is not the enemy. Time is merely the stage where your life unfolds. It takes no sides. It favors no one. Everyone receives exactly the same amount of it. The problem isn't in the hours you have, but in how you use them. And that usage depends on one single word: discipline. Discipline is the fuel that turns dreams into reality. It's the bridge between what you want and what you're willing to do to achieve it. Lack of it isn't a moral flaw, nor a character failure. It's simply a poorly developed habit. And habits can be shaped, they can be trained, they can be reprogrammed. Humanity has already seen ordinary men and women accomplish extraordinary feats, not because they had more time than others, but because they used the same time with a clarity and purpose few dare to seek. They didn't wait for the right moment. They created the right moment. They understood that greatness is not an event. It's a choice, repeated daily. Think about this. How many times have you postponed what really matters because of a passing distraction? How many times did you promise yourself you'd start tomorrow, only to find that tomorrow became yesterday again? Procrastination isn't weakness. It's the absence of discipline dressed in comfort's clothes. And while you convince yourself you need more time, the world keeps turning and opportunities quietly close. Discipline is the art of saying no to now in order to say yes to the future. It doesn't shout. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't wait for inspiration. It acts even when everything inside you resists. It's silent, yet devastating in its impact. It builds empires, writes books, changes lives, heals wounds, breaks cycles. It's the opposite of laziness, but also of chaos. Discipline isn't the hammer striking flesh. It's constant rhythm, continuous movement, firm presence. It's the ability to stay focused even when motivation fades, because motivation comes and goes. Discipline is the anchor that holds the ship in place until the wind begins to blow again. Everything begins with mindset. Before action, before the plan, before the journey, there is the way you see yourself. If you believe you are weak, you will be weak. If you believe you are inconsistent, you will be inconsistent. But if you know deep down that you are capable of resisting the temptation of the immediate, that you can endure the momentary pain of effort to reap the lasting glory of results, then you've already begun to change. This mindset isn't born fully formed. It's forged in small battles, in daily decisions, in waking up 5 minutes earlier, in saying no to infinite scrolling, to the snoozed alarm, to the extra cup of coffee, to the endless conversation. Small victories accumulate into great transformations. And that brings us to belief. Belief isn't just thinking positively. Belief is feeling, breathing, living as if what you desire is already moving toward you. It's unshakable confidence that your actions carry weight, that each step, even imperfect, counts, that the universe responds not only to what you desire, but to what you manifest with consistency. Belief is what sustains the writer during the blank page. It's what holds the athlete during the final lap of training. It's what keeps the entrepreneur awake at 2 a.m., reviewing numbers and adjusting plans. This belief isn't naive. It's aware of difficulties, but it doesn't surrender to them. It knows that impossible only exists until someone makes it possible. Clarity emerges from this belief. When you know exactly what you want, the path seems to reveal itself. Things begin to align. People appear. Resources emerge. Doors open. But this clarity doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes from self-awareness, from honest questioning, from the courage to face yourself and ask, what do I truly want? What am I willing to sacrifice for it? What do I need to change? Without clarity, discipline wanders aimlessly. It disperses, becomes occupation without purpose, movement without direction. Clarity is the map. Discipline is the engine. Both must work together for the journey to make sense. And then comes vision, a vision greater than yourself. That goes beyond the now. that ignores temporary circumstances and fixes its gaze on the distant horizon. Vision is what allows you to see the future as if it were already present. It's what keeps you steady when everything around you seems to collapse. Vision isn't foolish optimism, it's informed faith. It's the vivid image of what you are building, even when it doesn't yet exist. With vision, purpose reveals itself. Why are you here? For what is all of this? What meaning lies behind your actions? Purpose isn't something you find, it's something you live. It emerges when you're willing to serve something greater than your own desires, when you understand that your existence plays a unique role in the fabric of the world. Purpose gives depth to discipline. It makes sacrifice worth it. It transforms suffering into meaning. It's what keeps the artist painting even without recognition. It's what makes the teacher keep teaching despite low pay. It's what makes the father return home after an exhausting day and still find energy to play with his children. But purpose without action is only a dream. Action is what moves mountains. It's the pulse of change. It's the moment thought becomes reality. Many plan, few execute, many dream, few take risks. Action is where fear meets courage, where doubt meets decision, where the dream meets the world. Gratitude fuels that action. Gratitude for the lessons learned from mistakes. Gratitude for the obstacles that shaped your strength. Gratitude for the people who stayed and those who left. Gratitude for your very existence, even in the whirlwind of life. Gratitude isn't denying pain, it's recognizing that even suffering carries seeds of growth. Adaptability is what allows you to continue when the ground shifts beneath your feet. Nothing remains the same. Circumstances evolve. Plans fail. Strategies change. Adaptability is the ability to accept the new without losing focus. It's emotional intelligence to recognize when it's time to move forward, when to retreat, when to reinvent. Resilience is what keeps you standing after every fall. It isn't ignoring pain, it's walking through it. It isn't avoiding the fight, it's facing it. Resilience is learning to dance even when the floor trembles. It's continuing even when your heart aches. It's persisting even when the world seems to conspire against you. And learning is what ensures that every experience, good or bad, has value. Nothing is wasted. Every mistake is a lesson. Every failure is a step. Every defeat is a teaching. Learning is the awareness that the journey never ends, that growth is a continuous process, that wisdom isn't something you possess, it's something you seek every day. And so all these pieces connect. Mindset, belief, clarity, vision, purpose, discipline, action, gratitude, adaptability, resilience, learning. They are parts of a whole, tools to master time instead of being mastered by it. Because in the end, you don't need more time. You need more discipline. The journey of discipline doesn't begin with a war cry. There are no trumpets sounding in the background, no spotlights illuminating the path. It begins in silence. It starts in the moment you decide without fanfare to rise before dawn, even when your body begs for a few more minutes in bed. It starts when you close the social media app and open a book. It starts when you say no to the easiest excuse and yes to the hardest responsibility. Discipline is a solitary choice. Often, no one is watching. No one is applauding. You do it because you know it must be done. Not for external approval, but for internal respect. Because every small victory accumulated builds something greater than yourself. A legacy of consistency, a pattern of action, an identity of someone who fulfills promises, especially to yourself. And that changes everything. Because when you become someone who does what needs to be done, even without the desire, something within you transforms. Your self-confidence grows, your clarity increases. Your sense of purpose strengthens. You begin to see difficulties, not as insurmountable obstacles, but as disguised opportunities. Each day becomes a chance to prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are reliable, that you are serious about what you want. But this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, constant, sometimes imperceptible process, like the growth of a tree. On the outside, it may seem like nothing is happening. But underneath the surface, roots are extending, structure is reinforcing, strength is being built. Discipline is this. underground work, what no one sees, what you do when no one is looking. And it is precisely in this invisible space that great results are sown. Many seek inspiration as if it were a switch that, once turned on, ignites perfect motivation. But inspiration is volatile. It comes and goes. It may last hours, days, maybe weeks, but it is not sustainable. Discipline is different. Discipline is the constancy that exists even when inspiration disappears. It is the decision to continue even without desire. It is the commitment to a future larger than immediate comfort. Have you ever noticed how the people who seem most successful also seem to have less drama, less procrastination, fewer excuses? It's not because they have more time or more luck. It's because they've developed a different relationship with discipline. To them, it's not a sacrifice. It's a way of life, a way of breathing, a daily expression of who they've decided to become. And this creates a powerful cycle. The more you act with discipline, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the more willing you are to act again. And so the wheel begins to turn, slowly at first, then with speed, until one day you look back and realize much has changed. You are no longer the same person who used to delay, give up, lose hope. You've become someone who acts, someone who persists, someone who delivers. That doesn't mean the path is easy, far from it. There will be days when laziness is stronger, when exhaustion weighs heavier, when doubt shouts louder. But discipline doesn't require you to always be motivated. It only requires that you continue. It doesn't demand perfection. It demands consistency. One step after another, one day after another, one renewed commitment each morning, a fresh start each night. The true power of discipline isn't in the results it produces, although they come. It's in the person it shapes along the way. Because every time you choose to do what must be done, you affirm who you are. You reinforce your identity. You build character. You prove to yourself that you are reliable, determined, focused. That is the foundation of any great achievement, not initial talent, not luck. It's the ability to maintain course even when the sea is rough, to move forward even when the sky is cloudy, to continue even when the heart doubts. And here's something important. Discipline is not in a hurry. It understands the value of time. It doesn't try to rush the process. It doesn't seek shortcuts. It knows that true transformation can only be measured with patience, with persistence, with repetition. So don't wait for a dramatic turning point. Don't wait for the perfect day. Start where you are, today, now. Even if it's small, even if it seems insignificant, because it's in these seemingly simple daily actions that greatness is built. A short workout, a page written, an hour dedicated to the project you've been postponing, one more minute of meditation, an email answered with attention, a negative habit avoided. These are the choices that, added together, create the life you desire. And as you move forward, as your choices align with your deepest values, something extraordinary happens. You begin to attract what once seemed distant. The right people appear. Opportunities arise. Resources arrive. Synchronicity reveals itself, not by magic, by merit, by the energy you begin to radiate, by the elevated vibration that comes from living with intention, from honoring your commitments, from not depending on fleeting emotions to make lasting decisions. You become a force, a presence, a quiet yet powerful example of someone who lives with purpose. And that in itself is revolutionary, because we live in a world that worships urgency but forgets importance, a world that celebrates noise but ignores silence, a world that seeks quick results but neglects the necessary process. In that world, discipline is rebellion, a resistance against the culture of distraction, an affirmation that you won't wait for more time because you've understood that you already have enough, as long as you use it wisely, with focus, with courage. So take a deep breath, look ahead, and remember, you don't need more time. You need more discipline. And it begins now, in the next step, in the next choice, in the next time you decide to stand firm, even when you want to quit, in the next time you choose progress over perfection, in the next time you say yes to your future and no to temporary comfort. It's in these seemingly small moments that destiny is written, and it's there that everything begins. The world is full of voices that say otherwise. They tell you that you need more resources, more luck, more connections, more time. They claim success is a complex equation, a game of favorable circumstances and rare opportunities. But the truth is far simpler and at the same time far harder. Success isn't a formula. It's a choice repeated every day. It's the decision to act when others hesitate, to continue when others stop, to rise even when the ground hurts beneath your feet. And that choice can only be sustained by one thing: discipline. Discipline is the silent core of all great achievements. It doesn't appear in the spotlight, but it's what keeps the spotlight on. There is no best-selling book without hundreds of pages written in solitude, no champion athlete without years of forgotten training, no successful entrepreneur without sleepless nights and difficult decisions made alone. No one sees the price that was paid, only the glow of the final result. But if you look closely, you'll see that the glow always comes after the shadow, after invisible effort, after constant routine, after the refusal to give up, even when everything seemed lost. And that requires something deeper than physical strength or intellect. It requires courage, courage to face yourself, to say no to laziness, no to distraction, no to the easy excuse. Courage to take full responsibility for your life, to stop blaming time, fate, circumstances, to understand that in the end, you are the architect of everything you live. Because discipline is, above all, self-knowledge. It's recognizing your weaknesses and deciding not to be ruled by them. It's understanding your triggers and creating systems to overcome them. It's knowing that sometimes you will fail, but that doesn't define who you are. It only defines that you are still learning. Have you ever noticed how the most consistent people are also the calmest? How those who live with purpose seem less affected by the chaos around them? Not because they have a perfect life, but because they've built such a strong internal structure that nothing external can shake it. They don't need daily validation. They don't need passing motivation. They have something far more powerful, a solid base of habits, values, and direction. And that base doesn't appear by accident. It's built brick by brick in the quiet moments no one sees, in the decision to wake up early, even when the body asks for sleep, in the choice to write, even without inspiration, in the persistence to keep going, even without guarantees. Discipline is the opposite of reactivity. It's the ability to act based on who you want to be, not just how you feel in the moment, because feelings change. Motivation comes and goes, but identity, how you see yourself, remains, and that determines your actions day after day. When you begin to see yourself as disciplined, things begin to change. You no longer need to fight against yourself. You no longer depend on fleeting emotions to make decisions. You act because it's who you are, not out of obligation, out of conviction. That changes the entire game, because now it's no longer about forcing yourself to do something. It's about honoring who you've decided to be. And that creates a different kind of energy, an energy that doesn't run out, that doesn't depend on external stimuli, that comes from within. And it's this energy that allows you to continue when everything seems useless, when results take too long, when no one seems to notice your effort, when the world seems indifferent to your progress. Still, you continue, not out of blind hope, but out of self-commitment. And it's in those moments that real transformation happens. Not when applause echoes, but when silence is your only company. Not when everything is aligned, but when everything seems out of place. Not when the journey is easy, but when it tests every fiber of your being. This is the essence of discipline. It reveals who you truly are, not the idealized version, nor the image you project to others. The real version. The person who does what must be done even when no one is watching. And that carries enormous weight, because in the end, the only approval that matters is your own. The only judgment that truly counts is the one you make of yourself at the end of each day. If you can look in the mirror and say, Today, I did my best. I kept my word. I moved forward, even if just a little. It's in these small daily advances that great stories are written. Stories of resistance, of transformation, of conquest. Stories that didn't begin with extraordinary talent or perfect conditions. They began with choices, small, repeated choices. Choices that together formed an unstoppable path. So remember this, time does not define you. Your choices do. Each minute is an opportunity to choose between what is urgent and what is important, between momentary comfort and lasting growth, between distraction and purpose. And every time you choose purpose, you are choosing discipline. And every time you choose discipline, you are shaping the person you will become. There is no turning back, only moving forward. And the next step, as always, begins with you now.